Operation Caravan, the Barce raid. In September 1942, as part of the broader Operation Agreement, the Long-Range Desert Group launched Operation Caravan, a daring, deep penetration raid targeting the Italian-held town of Barce and its airfield in Cyrenaica. This operation aimed to disrupt Axis supply lines and divert attention from simultaneous Allied assaults on Tobruk and Benghazi. Planning and composition. The raid was orchestrated by Major John Richard Jake Easonsmith, who led B Squadron, composed of 2 LRDG half patrols. T1 Patrol, consisting of New Zealanders, and G1 Patrol, composed of British Guardsmen. The force comprised 47 men and 17 vehicles. Departing from Fayum, Egypt, in early September 1942, the unit embarked on a grueling 1,155-mile journey across the Egyptian and Libyan sand seas to reach their target. The assault on Barce. The squadron arrived at a point near Barce on the 13th. One truck was concealed at a rear rendezvous point called G5, along with small supplies of rations and water. It had taken them 11 days to cover the distance, and after a final briefing, at dusk they moved out to execute their coordinated attacks. Captain Nick Wilder's T1 Patrol targeted the airfield, the operation's main target, while G1 Patrol assaulted the town's barracks that lay to the southwest in a diversionary raid. The airfield raid was particularly successful, the New Zealanders advancing in their vehicles clockwise in single file, targeting parked bombers with tracer, incendiary and explosive rounds. Their firepower included 3 pairs of 303 Browning machine guns, 2.50-inch Vickers heavy machine guns, and several 303 Vickers K machine guns. Corporal Merlin Crow had also developed small incendiary time bombs using Nobel's Gelignite 808. Crow and Yealands, riding in the last truck, Te Paki 3, carried a box of these bombs. As they reached undamaged aircraft, the pair jumped out, placed bombs on the wings above fuel tanks, lit the fuses and dove for cover as the planes erupted in flames. Withdrawal. After about an hour, T1 Patrol was running low on ammunition and Wilder gave the order to withdraw. However, by this time the Italians had been able to pull themselves together, and a small battle group of 2 tanks and some infantry were forming a reception committee at the far end of the road that led from the airfield to the railway station in Barce. The New Zealanders advanced into a hail of fire from the tanks with no time to turn around or go around, as the Italians were blocking the road. Fortunately, the Italian fire was high, and Wilder made the astonishing decision to ram the tanks, gunning the accelerator of his Chevrolet as he crashed into the first one, knocking it aside before cannoning into the second, destroying his truck but clearing the road. His crew quickly recovered and thrust grenades under the tank's tracks, further immobilizing them before being picked up by the jeep that had followed close behind. The jeep, carrying the Chevrolet crew, continued down the road as Captain Wilder fired its machine guns. However, tracer fire blinded the driver, who hit the curb, causing the jeep to overturn and trap Wilder, unconscious and soaked in petrol beneath it. The following truck righted the vehicle, and Wilder was recovered and placed inside. By 4 a.m. September 14, the squadron was reunited at Sidi Salim, about 12 kilometres southeast of Barce, with 3 jeeps and 7 trucks remaining out of 12. The squadron would be ambushed as they drove south along the road leaving the village, and despite overcoming this, several men were wounded and a vehicle lost a tyre. A further ambush a little later was also dealt with. However, later in the morning there appeared an Axis reconnaissance plane, followed inevitably by the fighters. Fiat CR-42s, 8 in all, thirsting for revenge. The Italian fighters proceeded to turn B Squadron's withdrawal into a nightmare, bombing and machine gunning the trucks and men all day until dusk. By the time the sun had set, Several men were wounded, and all of the 30 hundredweight trucks were destroyed, leaving a couple of jeeps and the Chevrolet previously concealed at G5. Over the following days, both jeeps would pack up, and ultimately most of the men would end up trekking out on foot in two parties for a considerable distance before meeting help. On the morning of the 17th, the party led by Major Easonsmith came across Captain John Olivey and his Rhodesians of S1 Patrol near Benghazi, about 60 miles from Barce. But the rest of B Squadron, minus 10 men taken prisoner by the Italians, would not show up for 3 more days. Aftermath. The long-range desert group suffered heavy losses in Operation Caravan, but dealt a substantial blow to a better-equipped enemy that had considered its rear areas secure. The raid exposed the harsh realities of desert warfare: challenging terrain, the need for precise navigation, self-reliance, endurance, evasion, and survival. All key traits of the LRDG's operational success. While figures vary, the impact on Italian air power was clear. T1 Patrol's post-action report claimed 32 aircraft destroyed or damaged, mainly bombers, whereas official Italian records listed 16 destroyed and 7 damaged. Regardless of the exact count, the raid significantly reduced Italian air capability at Barce. Strategically, the operation eased pressure on the 8th Army ahead of the El Alamein offensive, forcing the Axis to divert troops and resources to defend rear installations, thereby weakening their frontline defences. For their roles in Operation Caravan, several LRDG members received gallantry awards. Major Easonsmith and Captain Wilder were awarded the Distinguished Service Order. Captain Lawson received the Military Cross, while Corporal Crow and Troopers Tippett and Dobson were awarded the Military Medal. This was the highest number of medals awarded for a single LRDG operation. If you enjoyed this episode on the long-range desert group's raid on Barce, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.